What is going down, everyone? It's time for Mojobreak.com, The Hype 370. It's unfiltered time. We're going to go over the year in review, where the hobby is, where the hobby is going to be, and just break down some of the manufacturers, some of the trends, what the outlook might be for 2025. We like to revisit this. The state of the hobby talk going down here on The Hype, guys. Feel free to chime in if you're in the YouTube chat while you're doing it live. Also, appreciate you guys that are subscribers to our audio podcast, and we appreciate you guys as well. So we're going to give you guys honest opinions of what we think and what this is going to go and look like for 2025. We also have big releases next week. Eminent Football. We are breaking Eminent Football, which is your 8x10s, star-studded cast of signers. You got Mahomes, you got Brady, you got Caleb Williams, you got Jaden Daniels, got Bo Nix. Some of their first licensed autos, if not their first licensed autos of the year. They'll be going down live, Fanatics Live, Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So get in. Those things are super cool. Some of you guys might remember the baseball ones we did. A very, very slick-looking product, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's kind of filling that void of chasing Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels that we haven't had in Panini products. So, guys, how you feeling? How you feeling, Dan?
Dude, I am excited for Emanate. So excited. Baseball was amazing. Football, the checklist actually looks phenomenal.
Even better, actually.
Yeah, even better. And we got some. So we're gonna be able to have it on the website. We're gonna be able to be ripping it on Fanatics Live, which I think you said we're gonna be doing it earlier, right? We're gonna be doing it on Monday.
Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Yeah, we've got a player breakup posted right now. There's already as we are here, Jalen Hurts just went off the board.
Flying.
Triple case player break, so 30 autos. So. My man Brock Purdy's still up there. Joe Montana.
You probably want to pass on those.
Scrubs like Cooper Kupp are available.
Get those, because they're going to the moon. I mean, there's people talking about the Rams maybe putting it together, going to the Super Bowl, getting another ring.
Maybe not.
I mean, there's.
It all rides on tomorrow's game.
In all fairness,
we beat the Bills.
In all fairness, yeah, you did. I mean, look, yeah,
we beat the Bills.
Beat the Bills. In all fairness, I don't think any NFC West team is going to be even sniffing the Super Bowl this year.
No matter what happens for the rest of the year.
Beat the Bills.
No matter what happens tomorrow.
I understand.
I'm just going to be walking around going like, beat the Bills.
We beat the Bears.
Go play in that snowstorm. And
you
then
did.
Let's talk about it.
You could run around and say you beat the Bears.
That's true.
You beat the Bears. We did not.
Very funny. I mean, if that doesn't say everything about the NFC West this year, that the Rams lost to the Bears and the Niners had the most dominant win.
Well, the
Rams beat the Bills.
They beat the Bills, and they gave up over 40 points, and Josh Allen had 6 touchdowns.
Right. Had the greatest fantasy football game ever for any quarterback.
And we beat the Bills after giving up 6 touchdowns to Josh Allen and 42 points.
Did Sean McVay turn into like Jack Del Rio or maybe like Andy Reid for a game? Because that's double the amount of points he usually averages. So I don't know what he did.
What is it with every few years? It reminded me of that game, that Monday night game.
That's what everybody was saying. Everybody was like,
the greatest game I've ever watched.
Yeah, they're like, that was that. Both teams scored over 50 in that one.
Yeah, that one was special. And that was what? Very early. That was pre-Super Bowl winning Mahomes,
I think that was 20.
Right?
That was 2018.
Okay. So wait, was there Mahomes?
I think that was Mahomes' first year. Because 2017, Alex Smith.
That's right.
2018.
Well, the Bucks beat the Bills and the Lions, and we beat the Bucks. So we technically beat the Bucks and Lions as well.
Yeah.
And then the Bills beat the Chiefs, so we technically beat the Chiefs as well. So I mean, it all balances out.
And the Browns beat the Ravens, so I don't know why the Browns are not going to win that division.
Jameis, man.
Jameis. Everybody rooting for Jameis.
So Cody's gonna lead us in a battle, but we got some great topics. We're gonna go over Tops and Fanatics, Panini, Upper Deck, Leaf. Not a lot to talk about Leaf, but TCG, breakers and e-commerce apps. We've got grading, auctions, and mergers, as well as content creators. So it's gonna be just unfiltered, off the cuff. And if you guys want to add anything into the chat, do so.
Yeah, how everybody feels. This is I think our 3rd straight year where we've done sort of a end of the year kind of look back at like what worked this year, what didn't, what can we improve on. Look back at last year's episode. There's some notes too of like predictions that we made that maybe don't sound as good right now, or some that sound like we were right on it. But we'll start with, we look at sort of each different part of the hobby. Starting, I think the biggest one, manufacturers, obviously. Tops and Fanatics are going to always dominate the conversation, at least in our modern hobby landscape. But Panini still providing, I think the big thing with them, having super loaded products, a lot of their products this year to make up, I think, for that lack of the Fanatics exclusives. We heard so many times, especially, if CRad's able to join us, how many times do we say, I'm watching breaks of his going, man, this is the most loaded version of Enter Panini product we've ever had. So they're trying to change things up. And then, of course, we can get into Upper Deck and Leaf. But let's start with Topps and Fanatics. The exclusives were going to be the dominant conversation. We've now had a full year to really look at what happened. And Wemby Mercury, we thought, man, this is going to be gigantic. It doesn't matter. It's Wemby. I need to look at some secondary prices, but that's something that may be changed as well. But just your thoughts of the exclusives. Did they backfire? Is it working? Is this something that, again, I think we even talked about, is this just something we're just going to have to wait out for the next couple of years, and this is just the reality that we have?
Yeah, I mean, there's been highs and lows. Obviously, we always point to the marketing for Topps, and it's been, and Fanatics for that matter, that they've done a really good job of that, as we've seen with the, Elway from the Bowman draft. But I still think they're kind of learning in terms of the secondary market, how to price products, what the collectors want. And I think the exclusives have hurt a lot of people that do collect football and basketball, not wanting the unlicensed stuff and then keeping the licensed stuff, the Caleb Williams, away from Panini. So I think that's hurt the hobby. Now 2025 is supposed to be a little bit better of a financial year, at least predicted by some. So we'll see if, some of these mistakes that they've had with these products and these exclusives will change once the licenses start to flip over.
I don't think the world of exclusives is going to go away, though. I think we talked about this on either last episode or a couple episodes ago. Panini is probably going to do the same exact thing. They're going to go out of their way and they're going to overspend, and they're going to get some of these players that are coming from the college ranks into the NFL, and they're going to sign them to an exclusive. And they're essentially going to do the same thing that Fanatics did to them for the last 3-4 years.
And we're already seeing it happen, yeah.
Yeah,
but we didn't see it in 2015, 2014, 2013. We had Panini and Topps existing, and there was no exclusive players that were, they both had Jameis Winston, they both had Marcus Mariota.
Because I don't think those companies at that point were trying to cripple each other.
Right.
I think they were okay with them both coexisting and having their own lane. I think, honestly, I think Fanatics probably wants to see Panini fail, and Panini probably wants to see Fanatics fail. And they're going to try to figure out whatever they can do to make that happen.
I mean, if you're Fanatics, is it a smart move to do that stuff on hindsight now that we're looking into a full year of what we had with Wemby?
I don't financially know. I don't think it worked out, and I don't think it's when Panini does it to Fanatics, I don't think it's going to work out in their favor either.
Now we got CRad in here. What's your mood in terms of the basketball side with the Wemby exclusive, with the products that don't have autos? What are you hearing on the ground floor from collectors?
I think for basketball and football, it's pretty much sucked. You know what I mean?
All right. And this is a hell of an episode. We can just go.
You just
end it right there. We're done.
No, seriously,
What? How was 2024? Shit sucks. I'm out.
It's just it's at the point now where it's kind of ridiculous, right? Like we're into the third month now of the NBA. We don't have products of the new rookie guys that got drafted way back in, June, right? We're barely getting that first product next month, I believe, in January.
Yeah, I want to say Hoops is coming out mid-January.
What Dan was saying, Panini is going to do that back to Fanatics, but I'm almost I'm sure they will. I'm sure they 100% will. But it's I'm not pocket checking any of these companies, but do they have the money to do that the same way that Fanatics did that to them for years and years?
They probably do not forever.
Yeah.
But I mean, probably for the first 2, 3, 4 years I expect Panini to play that game with Fanatics for at least the first handful of years.
Now, do you think that
or at least
reason- the-
attempt. I mean, they actually may just try to.
Go for the best player.
No, they may just try to get a negotiation there to where there's somebody else at the table and they're just driving up the price.
Yeah.
So they might go to these rookies and go, "We want to sign you to an exclusive. It's going to be X amount of dollars per auto," and that same player would have signed with another company for a fraction of that. So they may just try to up the price on some of these players.
Because my feeling of this situation the last couple years with Fanatics signing exclusive is that they're like first to the table, so they almost have the ability to go in there first and be like, I want this guy, because they are grabbing the best names in football, right? And they're just leaving a couple guys for Panini, like of guys like they maybe not are as high on.
Yeah, and I think when they have the license, like Panini they're probably going to attempt to try to have most of their focus on doing that. Going, let's get these players early. Let's get them their freshman year in college.
But can Panini do the same thing that Ruben does, where he's like, let's invite these guys to a house with Tom Brady and Travis Scott and hang out
You can invite them.
and kind of wine and dine them a little bit. You know what I mean?
Invite them out with Fat Lever and Alex English and Johnny Manziel. Also very fun.
I mean,
and Aiden Hutchinson, who's an exclusive.
that's right, Aiden. You got Luca there. There's guys. You know, they got guys.
They got
They don't
dudes.
Tom Brady. They got dudes.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna see. I think Fanatics Fest, and not to fast forward to like an event, but like, I think you're really gonna see Fanatics Fest, assuming it happens June 22nd to June 24th. You're gonna see if they overspent last year, because you're gonna see what this one turns out to be.
Well,
right?
they said
So,
double the amount of athletes and entertainers.
That's what they said.
They're gonna have double the amount of athletes and entertainers this
And
year.
double the amount of tables, like
Yeah,
marketplace
yeah.
tables.
But if there's double the amount of marketplace tables, then something's going away.
Yeah. You would
So
say.
I mean, you were there. There wasn't a lot of room.
Unless they're going to expand the Javits Center. There was some area in the autograph area that like wasn't well utilized. There was definitely more space back there to put more tables.
There was a lot of empty space in the
Yeah.
in the back.
Yeah. I mean, it's just you wonder if the price, I mean, we're not in their pocketbook. We don't know what their fiscal year was. I think there's rumors saying that they were 14% down as a company. Now that also includes memorabilia and, shirts and all the other stuff that they make. Don't know if that was confirmed. That's what I've heard, but like
Don't forget the MLB uniform thing that happened at the beginning of the year. That was a big company-wide,
didn't
I'm
help.
sure.
That
yeah.
didn't help.
If anything, that was a huge company-wide PR disaster.
But doesn't a part of the blame have to fall on Nike?
Yeah, 100% it does.
It's a shared blame.
But at the same time, people's perception was reality, where they're like the number one. They pinpointed Fanatics as the difference in that. Now, it ultimately was not fair, but certainly I'm sure that played some factor of like, okay, maybe we need to like scale back of like how much we're even putting ourselves out there, that we're doing this, that we're just putting ourselves there to take all the blame.
I mean, but what I was alluding to is that you start stacking up these contracts of these guys. The Wembanyama contract, the Caleb Williams contract last year with C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis. You get all these guys to exclusive this year. Bo Nix, Drake May, as well to add to the fold, and then the basketball rookies, the Scoots. Like, does this affect, because they can't really put them out in as many products as, say, Panini was doing with 30 or 40.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we seeing like products like Bowman Draft like making up for the cost of the said guys that they've spent all this money on? Like, I don't know, but I know Bowman Draft is a little higher than it's ever been, and I can't imagine that these guys are asking for more. I mean, but there's no competition really with Panini for baseball, so it's like they're probably not paying them a lot different than they've paid them over the last 20 years of Bowman Draft or Bowman. Especially the late round guys. I mean, these guys are probably signing for a couple dollars, right? So it's like, why are they making up for it on that? Is this driving the price up, which eventually is just going to hurt the consumer? So, like I said, like Fanatics and Topps still kind of, I mean, Topps has been around, of course, but Fanatics is new to this. They're trying to figure it out. If you look at Panini in 9-10, when they took over, they had a lot of, figuring things out until they kind of figured out what they want to do going forward. We'll see. I mean, is there a world that Michael Rubin says he doesn't want cards anymore on part of the Fanatics portfolio? Could that happen?
Boy, I'd be shocked at this point. Like, there's been such an all-out, like, going all out for this stuff, and I think, and ultimately, he sees a vision where Fanatics has their hands in every aspect of sports collecting, memorabilia, merchandising. So
Gambling.
yeah, right, exactly. So that would be a hard one to.
I mean, me and Dan were
envision.
talking about this yesterday, and I mean, he did give up his stake of the Sixers. So I mean,
Right.
you know what I mean. So there is, moving and pivoting, and realizing that maybe I did overpay for all of this in 2021 when
It was
we
at the
all
peak.
overpaid for everything. We
Right.
all overpaid for singles. We all overpaid for boxes back then.
Something I was reading in the chat, Ziggy, as a joke here, I know it's true though. The Leaf is looking desperate. They got the Hawk Tua girl. They're going like meme cards basically at this point. But like the game that Leaf used to play, we talked about it last year, was they would just get all these guys who were like freshmen in college or top recruits and just be like, hey, can you sign a bunch of autographs for us for cheap? And now those are the guys Fanatics and to some extent Panini are also targeting in a way. Like that sort of Panini almost needs to take a page out of Leafs playbook of just like maybe that's what they do, and then you leave the big fish to Fanatics, and like it's kind of the hierarchy right there. You see how it's changing, and Leaf gets left with kind of crumbs where you get
Well,
left
and
with
the NIL
Hawk Tua, and that's it.
The NIL changed that, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
the fact that, like, I mean, Ashton Genty, he's probably, $20, $30, $40 an auto right now, and Fanatics is probably paying that. I'm just throwing out numbers. I don't know. But Ashton Genty 10 years ago, they'd be giving him $1, $2 just to sign some stickers, right? And then they would go into the Leaf product that had 5 autos and was $70 a box, right? And Leaf was profitable at that price. So it's changing the landscape of that. And then when they get in the pros, they're like, well, I signed for $25 as a running back in college. I want $50 now. I'm a first-round draft pick. So it definitely drives up the price of these cards, unlike
man.
before.
That makes sense. No wonder Brian Gray sold his stake.
He saw where things were going.
He saw the writing on the wall with the NIL.
He saw it. Yeah, it's changing everything.
That makes sense.
But, I mean, I'm not hoping for Topps to fail. I'm not hoping for Fanatics to fail. I'm just hoping this was like a discovery year for them, and they're going to learn things. The way they're allocating products have changed. I mean, we have to kind of learn and pivot from that. I mean, it's constantly changing. The way they've handled the shops, though, has been amazing. I mean, with the events, with the they just sent us the wanted posters for the Judge and the Ohtani
MVP
buyback,
Yep.
which is, for shops, we give out $20 credit for a base card. We get that money back from them. So it's just a way to get people more in the shop. So, people that said, look at the champs and the memorabilia world, and then what Ruben did to the local jersey shops and basically forced them all out. And then, the distribution for champs is still through Fanatics, or champs doesn't even have stuff now, and it's all done through fanatics.com. They haven't necessarily shown us that they want to do away with shops. They want to embrace shops. So that's a good thing, and that's great for community. I mean, we had hundreds of people lined up for the PSA event. We had a shop full of people when Jerry Rice was down for the Fanatics Rip Party. So that's a good thing for sure.
Yeah. Real quick before we get off Topps and Fanatics, something that we touched on, I think Dan really went in on this one last year, was one of the biggest things we noticed was there was some quality control issues with some Topps products. There was obviously the way more publicized stuff that came out. If you remember that weird Randy Rosarena auto and all that, but there was stuff of just like normal everyday stuff of like missing autos or like cases where there was nothing. So now we've had another year. Has it gotten better? Have we
lot
noticed
better.
a marked improvement?
100% better.
It's gotten better. It still happens. I mean, we still get boxes that are short autographs. But definitely not as much as it was this time last year when we were talking.
Are you
about
noticing
it.
that as you break more?
Well, what I'm noticing is that there's still some boxes that are missing autos, but then you have the boxes that have an extra 2, 3 autos, and you're like, oh, okay, that's where that's the box didn't have.
Sure.
I'm noticing that as I'm missing autos in boxes, there'll be a box like later on that has like an extra 2 or 3 autos. And I'm like,
that used to be one of my things though. When you were breaking and you would get shorted an auto, you're like, "There's a box out there that's got an extra auto."
yeah, you always
So
say
what do
that.
What are we gonna do? We're gonna file a claim and try to get this autograph back to the.
Yeah.
Well, and I think what they've done, which is good for consumers to know. Maybe you do know this, maybe you don't. If you open up a box of Bowman Draft, and you've done a lot more than me, but Bowman Draft Hobby Jumbo specifically, the 3 autos are on the bottom of each row in the box every single time that I've opened a box. Now, I don't know if that's for every single one, but maybe that's how they're doing it. It's like they know where those packs are coming from. Those packs are going in the bottom of the box. The rest of the packs are going on top. That way they ensure that every box is promised and gets the 3 autos that they're promising for that SKU.
Now, how does that work for the card shops now they sell by the pack?
That's what you got to ask the question. If you're buying packs, you probably need to ask your store owner or your store employee, have these been shuffled? If there's 3 packs missing, it may be a little bit less consumer confidence to buy those packs now. So that's something to consider.
But what would you rather have, though? Would you rather have the consistency of autographs not missing, or have them laid out the same exact way?
Right. The autos laid the same way.
I'd like to have them laid the same way as opposed to like consistently missing autographs.
Yeah. 100%. There's been some like line issues in certain cards, things like that, that have arose. I noticed I was doing some Chrome update, and there was a lot of lines in some of the refractors.
But we've had
Yeah,
that
I think that's
through
typical through
We've
any
had that
Prism Chrome type product.
all manufacturers have had issues with that.
Yeah.
Like not every base card is going to be a 10.
Oh, one thing I want to mention before we move off manufacturers too, like getting exclusives and all that talk and stuff like that. How I just mentioned, like, we're not even getting the first 24, 25 basketball product until January.
Yeah.
I don't even know who's exclusive to Topps from this draft.
I think the best guess can be what
Dude, does anybody even know?
Zach Edey, I think, is. I'm sorry, the number 1 pick from the Hawks.
Boucher or
I think
Brasherie?
Yeah. I think Edey is because he was in Topps Update Baseball.
Yeah.
So that's
He
the only
was?
one I can say confidently. Yeah, there were like those first pitch cards that they had
okay.
CJ Stroud and
Yeah.
stuff. Zach Edey's in there, so I'm pretty sure he is. But yeah, you're right. It's not been like it's not as obvious.
all I'm
as
gonna
these guys are.
Also, what rookie is performing out of that rookie
Well,
class?
here's the
Jared
thing.
McCain, right?
Even if
Yeah.
even if we were in a regular year and no rookie was really performing to that high of a standard yet out the gate, there would still be hype because it'd be like, okay, these are the new guys, right? There'd be a group of basketball collectors that'd be like, let me just go after these new guys that I'm interested in. But we have gotten 0 products yet, which is really hurts this draft class. Like, honestly, and I hate to admit I'm in this camp too. I'm like, with Topps getting the license next year, which I think is like next October, right? So it's not even like
It'll be next season.
They're not going to be able to hit the new season right at the beginning when the kids get drafted. But that Cooper flag draft is already looking so much better than this draft that it's like let's just move on.
I think
No-
a lot of basketball collectors are
no
already
products
thinking
coming
next
out this year. Is what you're looking for.
year. It's also that Cooper Flag is a very highly touted prospect.
And
he
then
plays
that-
at Duke. Like, it's just
And that other kid is blowing up now too.
Yep.
Who people are saying he should go number 1 over Cooper Flag, right? So yeah.
And I mean, one more last thought on this. Topps now really blew up this year, and there's been a lot of chase. You've had Ohtani cards, you've had Steph Curry cards, and then none bigger than the triple USA auto. Regardless if there was any funny business going on, I think you can get your tinfoil hat and wonder why it's not out there yet. Fact of the matter is it could be on one of those packs that are for $25,000 on eBay. Does that ruin consumer confidence in the process that this card is now, 3-4 months in, and we have not seen that card?
I think that it's just part of the game, right? That it's like there's so many. How many products are still out there? I mean, we still don't know where the Steph Curry Superfractor
These were
is out there.
there was 500,000 sales of this card.
Yeah.
500,000 individual sales, and I believe there was 3,000 of those packs in existence.
Yeah. I mean, you would think that there's a better chance that would pop out by now rather than, say, what the Steph Curry
I mean, you
Super.
got to ask yourself, what else is what else has shown itself? Because there was a lot of big top now card over the summer. The triple USA one, the one where Steph's by himself doing the 9-night, a bunch of those throughout the Olympics actually.
Right.
All of the Otani ones, 40-40, 50-50. How many of these have been hit? How many of those one-on-ones have been
I
hit?
feel like the 50-50 got the Superfractor 50-50 got hit.
And
think
we're still waiting on that Otani, the Otani
Yes,
product.
the 50-50 set that was
where's
the
the
January? It's mid-January.
Oh.
that one's coming out.
Is that the
but that one's been
is that the Otani
that's
Dynasty?
the one with the Dynasty hits.
I was gonna give that
Yes.
to somebody for a Christmas gift. Dang it!
Yeah, I think I ordered 5 boxes of it. And,
Yeah,
and,
we're still waiting on that one.
That sucks.
How much are the boxes?
250.
I think they were 250.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah.
And you could possibly just get a base card, right?
It's
No,
like
it's
the-
like
it
packs.
comes
It's like 5
guaranteed.
packs. It's all
Yeah,
Otani
guaranteed
cards.
you're getting. Yeah, it was.
I thought
5
it
packs
chronicles
guaranteed.
like his whole run of getting
Yeah.
to 50-50, right?
Yeah. So
And they-
there's like each card is a different moment.
And the chase card is the Dynasty.
I believe there are 3 different Dynasty cards with one
Black
of one
Dynasty.
of the
Of
the
the-
actual I think the MLB logo relic.
That was
Uh,
from the jersey of that.
yeah,
that
From the jersey.
Hmm.
Yep. Before we move totally off manufacturers, I kind of mentioned the whole Panini loading up products as they are sort of preparing for life without the NBA and
Which
NFL
product?
licenses.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Flawless was the one that I
Flawless-
remember. CRad,
Okay.
I mean, you tell me, CRad. I remember a few that you're like, man, this is the most loaded version of this product. Flawless is the most
Despite
obvious
the fact
one.
that you couldn't get the biggest rookie in terms of like vet and then all the other rookies, like it was the most loaded flawless they've ever put out.
Right. So
At probably the lowest cost it's ever been.
So is
Well,
that something we are going to see here in the final year of Panini with the most? I mean, not the final year for football. I guess we have one more season.
We have
with
one
football?
more. We have one more basketball. It's the Wembanyama
Yeah,
one.
Yeah. So that's It'll be interesting to see what they do there. Upper Deck. I mean, if you got any thoughts on Upper Deck, the release calendar is still like we had a 24-25 NHL product today, and there are still 22-23 products that are still on the release calendar. So I don't know. I at
We've
this
been-
point,
I think we've been talking about this in
for a while,
a year in review
for
like
3 years.
for 42 years.
It is what it is at this point.
I mean, Upper Deck's behind.
Yeah.
I mean, and they frankly, I mean, Connor Bedard, probably the biggest prospect of hockey since Connor McDavid. So you could say that comes around once every 10 years if you want to, go back. Because then you have Sidney Crosby before that. I really feel like they could have capitalized a lot more on his name, his likeness, made a lot more sets. But maybe their
100%,
hands,
dude.
maybe their hands are tied. I don't know. We don't know their financial situation.
Yeah.
We don't see any Jordan cards coming out. We LeBron's now with tops. So they're
Didn't Connor
starting-
Bernard sign a Fanatics deal?
For memorabilia.
Memorabilia,
Yes. So there's that as well. So they're losing at least the memorabilia battle there, even to Fanatics. And they took a big hit license-wise. We're not getting Marvel from Upper Deck, which I think was one of their most reliable products that you could count on, a product that people looked forward to every year. That DC pivots, DC Comics is the pivot, but once again, I think it's one of the first notable moves where Upper Deck gets a license taken away by Topps.
Upper Deck.
in this.
Let's just sell to Fanatics.
Shane loves the Marvel. Max it out, Shane, when it comes to Upper Deck Marvel.
And frankly, their business practices are archaic. I mean, we cannot sell boxes on our website, even at whatever price they would decide. It's not even a go. We'd have to have people called to order, so we cannot sell any of the new products. It's a 6-month term too. So if
You can
The pro-
sell it, you just can't advertise a price.
right, which is
Which
in the
makes
day of-
it in the day of e-commerce, it makes it practical. You might as well not be able to sell it.
Yeah, because I mean, at what point am I selling $100 boxes? I'm going to say call to order. I'm going to have staff available on the phone to take orders just for Upper Deck.
That's like-
and then what? Send an invoice. I mean, it's just it's archaic. It's I know why it's in place. It's basically protecting David Adams and some of the other dealers that are able to sell online. But if you just let people maybe sell at an exact price. Because sometimes people would rather buy from us than DA or Steel City or some of these other guys that are allowed to sell online. Also, the breaking process, we're not allowed to do personal boxes. We're one of only 8 group breakers for Upper Deck approved. and we have to abide by the way they want us to sell things. We can't auction teams. So it's a very archaic process, especially when you're the low man on the totem pole, when you really want your products to be out there on the internets. You know, you want like these videos of guys jumping into garbage cans and pulling these big hits, and when you limit this stuff to be sold like this, you're really preventing any kind of buzz from getting out about your name. Now, that worked in the 80s and the 90s, but honestly, they're behind the times, and it doesn't sound like they're ever going to change, which some old card shops would be like, yes, but they also still complain about the fact that the prices are more for these products and the formats have changed and things like that. So it's not working. They're behind. They're not capitalizing on their likenesses that they have. And some of their cards are some of the nicest cards out there. Like when they use Exquisite, when they have the Young Guns, beautiful designs that they have. And it's unfortunately kind of going into, it's going to waste.
That's, I think, always the part that bums me out. It is like they are very consistently some of the best looking designs. The PMGs still pop. They're still exciting. Like, that's what's a bummer about it all. So.
And I mean, Macklin Celebrini is living up to the hype so far. I mean, I know we're biased being in San Jose here, but he's probably the next best thing. So
I feel like he's got better stats than Bedard this year.
We're all aboard the Macklin Celebrini train here.
Yeah,
so.
Bedard is actually not having a good sophomore year, and the Blackhawks are the worst team in the league.
Pivot to Celebrini. Hey, Sharks have a better record than them.
They do.
I know.
They're fun.
I was telling
team
the
to watch.
wife,
Not
like,
great, but
let's
they're
go to
fun.
a game, and she's like, well. Or I was like, I want to get a jersey, and she's like, well, why? Like, you haven't supported the Sharks. I'm like, well, I still keep up with them, but it's like when you put a product that's that bad out on the ice for the last 2 or 3 years, you know.
It's probably a good pivot from the Niners, though.
Oh, right now?
Hey, we're still in it. We're still in it.
Well, anyway, yeah.
It's probably a good time to be a Shark fan right now if you're not.
Right? You get in on the ground floor. You get in on the ground floor with the San Jose Sharks. They're right there.
They just need a cup.
The train is leaving the station for the 49ers. It's
it's gone.
It'll never be on the Sharks.
No, I mean it's leaving. It's not gone yet.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
I mean, when you
we have a spoiled fan base that expects a
absolutely
NFC Championship or a Super Bowl every year.
Didn't you guys just get the second pick overall not too long ago? So you guys haven't.
We traded up for it, but yeah,
you traded up for it, but you were still.
Yeah.
Still had
they were in the top 10.
Boy, and Solomon Thomas was a second pick overall.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was.
Yeah, but Nick Bosa was second pick overall too.
That was 2017. That's right.
2019.
No.
It's ancient history.
Solomon Thomas was 2017.
Yeah.
So you guys were sitting there going, we need a quarterback. Let's go with the defensive tackle. This is that Patrick Mahomes guy. That guy's a scrub.
We don't need to bring up this ancient history as mentioned. So
the Niners war room is like Trubisky's really the guy. So if we're gonna go quarterback, we're gonna go Trubisky.
Probably did.
I mean, we could have Aiden O'Connell. I mean, so
that's
or Gardner
Aiden O'Connell wasn't drafted second overall.
He's third rounder.
This is sort of manufacturers, but I feel like it does get its own category. We are a sports car podcast. We don't get into TCG that often, but I feel like
we are now.
We definitely are. Oh yeah, that's called a segue.
Yeah,
I feel
Pokemon.
like we have to talk about it because it is a category that has seen a huge boost in the last year. It's while other sports have kind of either plateaued or they've gone down, Pokemon is having like the best year even better than the peak of the hobby in 2020 and 2021. Why is I guess the question I keep coming back to, like, why is this happening? And there's a lot of I don't really know. We've kind of touched on it like in previous episodes. You're having the generation that grew up with this now has disposable income. I think there's a little bit of maybe I think I talked about it before we went on. Like, those products never get delayed. There's also kind of time between them for it to breathe and build up hype for this stuff. So I just want to hear from you guys. Like, what do you think is the reason we're having this sort of Pokemon renaissance?
Cost of entry. I mean, let's face it. A lot of the sports car guys, a lot of these sneaker guys that got in 2021. I mean, like, you're going to walk into a card shop, $1,500 for a box of Prism NBA or NFL. You're like, or $100 a pack or whatever they're going for. Or you can get a booster box of 36 packs for $80, $100, sometimes $120, depending on the set. And you have a lot of cards to chase, and the nostalgia factor. I mean, today One Piece, Thor on our TikTok. So check out Mojobreak Gaming on TikTok. He hit a $8,000 manga from One Piece today.
Wow.
Insane.
He also hit a God Pack, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
God Pack. Well, that was a separate break, but
Because in One Piece, if you hit the God Pack, you get all 10 of those mangas. So that's like
so he hit a
15K
God.
right
He
there.
hit a God Pack in the Japanese Pokemon that had all the SIRs, every single card.
Got it.
All the top chases were in one pack.
SIR.
It's the best.
SIR.
I swear to God. Well, yeah. If you guys haven't checked out Thor on our TikTok or whatever, like when you hear that ring out in the building, it puts a smile on my face.
Everybody knows what's going on.
Everyone
back
knows
there.
it.
Yeah, I jumped. I'm close.
That too. Yeah, you're a
I'm
little
close.
closer, so you're like, oh, geez.
I'm in the bullpen. I'm basically like right there.
Yeah, we're on the dirt all the way at the other side of the building, and it comes crystal clear.
I actually got to say with TCG, it's one of my favorite lines, but it's a lot less. There's less risk involved.
Yeah.
Charizard isn't going to tear an ACL, and Pikachu is not going to be out for a year and a half at Tommy John.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think that was, again, we was talking to Joe from gaming, and he was like, yeah, I think what we touch on, there's affordability and simplicity. I think that is attractive to a lot of people of just, there's no worry.
Let's just not discount the fact that Nintendo and the Pokemon property is forever one of the biggest IPs in the world.
Yeah.
Like it has remained through the test of time. Kids love Pokemon. People love the video games. People love the cartoons. People love the cards, and it's just gonna keep going through these up and down periods. I feel like I've seen it. I follow the Pokemon market for a long time. It's it has these peaks and its valleys. Like it'll be a year where it's like down a little bit, where the sets people think are not as good, and then the next year is booming again, and then we're going through another peak era of Pokemon.
And I mean, you also can't discount the fact that there are people that play the game too, right? With sports cards, I think we've lost a lot of the set builders because you'd have the set builders and then you'd have the investors, right?
Yeah, set builders are just vintage now.
Yeah, I think the guys are all trying. Most of the newer collectors are trying to get a box for $200 and get a card that's like $700, right? So they're not necessarily like enjoying the set or the artwork as much as days have passed, right? Especially with the whole breaking aspect. There's a little of that in Pokemon, as we've seen today, and One Piece with the manga that he hit. But I think there's still a good segment of collectors that are trying to play these tournaments and get these certain cards that aren't even looking at a value on them. So I think they've done a good job of that.
Now, how much of it do you think is also a crossover of sports collectors, for whatever reason, saying there's too much instability, I want to go somewhere where I feel like it's just easier, it's a little cheaper, or
I think it's
whatever
a
it
small
might be.
crossover.
Yeah.
There's definitely a group of sports collectors, I'm sure, that are also maybe minor invested in Pokemon or TCG in general.
you gotta have some connection to it at some point in your life, though, right? I don't know if you're forever a sports card collector, sports card sports fan, and then you just wake up one day and you're like, you know what? Like, Pokemon's my calling. I'm just
Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
You have to have some passing
I think
interest.
that,
in it.
100%.
I think that growing up, maybe you, like Conrad was saying, like, watched the Pokemon cartoons or movies or played the game or
Played
something
the
like that.
original Game Boy
So
game.
you had like some connection into it. So it makes an easier transition to be like, oh, okay, I know about it. I know the characters. I know this. This is cool. I'm into it.
Well, when was Pokemon Go? Like, remember that big craze? That felt like it was 10 years ago?
2016, 2017, yep.
Right,
Yep.
so that you could have had some 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds that were like, I mean, 'cause you remember people just walking around aimlessly looking down at their phone?
Campbell Community Center was a hotbed for Pokemon Go. For
And there's
whatever
still
reason.
a large group of people that play that game, too.
Yeah, I remember it being, I was playing it, and there was like forums of like, oh, go to this park. And we went one time, and it was hundreds of people staring down at the phone, like catching Pokemon. Like, my God, it was wild. I mean, we got outside, it was nice.
Yeah,
you know?
I would go to Campbell.
Pokemon.
I would go to Campbell Community Center, and there would all the time be people just walking around with their phones, and I'm like, what the? I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we're like catching some Pokemon.
We're
over
catching
here.
them all.
And don't you like hit the?
Yes.
Like, you're like,
and then you have to
so-
you had to go like
so
this. And
people would be doing this, and all of a sudden they'd be like,
Smash.
Everybody also had their like. It kind of reminded me of like, yeah, you blow in the cartridge, even though you knew it didn't really do anything. It was just you thought it did. People had things where you're like, oh, you gotta like rub it while, or like everyone had a little thing of like,
their
if you
luck
do
way,
this, it's
yeah.
gonna help it. It's gonna help catch it. Like,
No,
it
that
doesn't.
Nintendo thing is real, because the saliva helps the
Wait, really?
Yes, it's a real thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
With
I stand corrected.
With the what? The blowing into the cartridge?
Yeah, blowing cartridge.
Well, if
Oh.
you get dust in it.
Well, I
so.
always thought you don't. I thought the saliva was the part you didn't want. It was like, no, it's actually it's actually not good for the cartridge.
Oh, I thought it was just blowing out the dust, like, because you
right.
cartridge.
That's what I always
out.
thought too. But then I remember reading something of like, actually, your saliva's going in there and it's actually making it
It
worse.
wouldn't. Sometimes that wouldn't even work, and then you'd have to blow into the machine itself.
And then
like
you just
Nintendo,
throw
you're
it
just-
against the wall at a
Then,
certain point.
then
You have to slam the cartridge
or,
in there.
or
Oh,
you would
dude.
you
That was a bad
pull the
cartridge slammer.
cartridge out just a little bit.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
a little bit, and then put it down.
Off topic a little bit. Did anybody watch that Madden series?
Oh, I heard it's great. I haven't watched it yet.
It's
on my watch
pretty. It's
list.
pretty cool because it starts the early days of EA, and they were like against the carts, the Nintendos. They were going to just be it on PC because PC at that point had a lot more memory and you could do a lot more things with it.
Yeah.
But when they were trying to find their like spokesperson because they had done basketball, I think with Magic. They either did Magic Bird or they did something. They did I think it was Julius Irving and somebody else.
Julius Irving. That's right.
Yeah. So they did that. That was like their first game. And they wanted to get into football. The guy was a big football fan, the owner of EA or the founder. And so that they were trying to go down the line. They're like, okay, yeah, this Madden makes sense. He's from the Bay Area, and he's a respected coach. He's an announcer. He's in a bunch of commercials. And they didn't have enough memory to do 11 on 11. They were going to do like 6 on 6 on there. And Madden's like, nope. Like, this has to be real football.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, I don't know how we're going to get 4 more players on each side. And this, these early days of Madden, it was like worse than 8-bit, right? So, and the first game, I guess, was just absolutely terrible. It was like non-playable, but pretty good little doc. I got to watch some more episodes.
That's
of it.
on my watch list for sure. By the way, we got a Fish House in the chat saying Pokemon Pocket is a big driving force right now for Pokemon popularity, which is kind of goes with what we were saying. Pokemon Go took off. We now have another app that's really big with the.
There's always something.
Yeah.
And they're always coming up with something, dude.
It's like there's a cycle of every like 5 to 8 years. There's like a new like Pokemon thing of like it gets bigger in the public consciousness again of like reminds us that like, oh yeah, this is like a big thing, which shows the lasting power of it. That it's just I don't see it going away.
Mario is still selling 50 years later.
Exactly.
The same game.
The same game.
And we
Over
all
and
have
over.
that
And it's
history.
great.
We all have
It's always
that
good.
history of it, right? And that's why I think that Pokemon in 1998, when it started, I was already a junior in high school, so I was kind of like, I wasn't really into it as much as I was. I remember my 91, Stadium Club when I was that age, right? So then the resurgence of sports cards like 2010 after the kind of the era of like the junk wax, it took a while to kind of start getting back into the modern age with eBay and breaking and stuff. Now we're, the 98 kids are in their 30s and they're like Logan Paul. I mean, Logan Paul, even you
Huge
go to
driving
Magic
force.
Gathering, Post Malone probably played Magic the Gathering when he was younger. So it's all nostalgia of fun times when you were, young and you didn't have the money, and now you have the money and you want to buy those cards.
Yeah.
So
Ain't going nowhere. All right, let's hit up the last few topics here. Talk about the breaking industry and e-commerce in general. Let's start just kind of talk e-commerce. We've had over a year now, Fanatics Live. Whatnot still seems like that's in the lead for e-commerce. There's also some other platforms out there. I think also we can talk about it in a minute. TikTok is in an interesting spot right now. Won't get super political or anything, but it's definitely going to affect a lot of folks, especially in the TCG world.
They better sell.
What might happen here in about a month. But where do we stand in e-commerce? Let's start with Fanatics Live. It's now over a year old. Just thoughts, our first full year on this app.
Let's figure out the custom bid.
yeah, I was gonna say that. That's huge.
That's they're definitely aware of it, but like, there's nothing worse than like putting in a custom bid. It just shoots straight. Like, say you put $20 in, just shoots straight to $20 instead of going in increments up to $20.
Yep. I had a guy bid. It was all my auctions on Monday were going for like $17, $18, and a guy had a $16, $17 bid, so $1,617.
Woo.
I obviously knew right away that nobody in their right mind, they could have bought all the boxes in the break that I had, would bid 16, 17. Now, in a world where the custom bid works, the 16, 17 would have probably been $19, $20 because it would have been the highest bid of that said run. So that needs to get fixed. I mean, they're obviously just barely over a year old. But I mean, as far as whatnot, it's funny because Loop. I know we don't mention Loop. They're probably third on the list. They just they have an ad I see every day now. It's like tired of shady breakers, and it's like you try other
Loop
yeah. It's all tired of shady breakers.
That's our angle.
Join Loop where everybody's vetted and they're all card shops and all this other stuff, right? Which, hey, maybe that's the angle I would work if I was them too. I get it, but like. I feel that that's more of a shot at Whatnot, right? Where Whatnot's doesn't really vet as many of the breakers that are on there.
It's kind of the Wild West out there.
You just need a phone and a retail box to go on there and do your thing. And that's just how they built their business. They probably know that's going to happen, but they want more sellers to join the app, and they don't care. Fanatics Live is vetting a little bit better. I still think there's too many sellers on the app, which – if you're a consumer, that's a good thing because you can get things at a great price because there is a lot of sellers doing the same product, battling it out with price, doing auctions, things like that. So they don't have also international yet, which is huge, I think, down the line as well to be able
that
to
will help open things up, right?
Open things up a little bit.
It'll definitely help out with the basketball category, for sure.
Yeah. Now there's the whole shipping aspect of international though. Does that get tricky?
Right, charges and things like that, and I know certain countries you probably can't even ship to through their app. But it would be nice to at least get like Canada. I think Canada's first, and then moving on over to
I use Whatnot a little bit. Is the custom bid not the same thing on Whatnot where like the number you put it doesn't jump automatically to that number?
It doesn't do it on Whatnot, no.
So it just goes in increments too.
Yeah. So if you drop, like, say the bid was at $20 currently and you put $100, you'll probably go to $25, $30 until somebody outbids you. So you could
kind of same thing as on eBay.
On eBay, yeah.
On eBay, if you're if you
put
basically put a max bid, it's not going to go straight to your max bid unless somebody bids it up to that value.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that before we move on, I do want to touch on the possible TikTok ban that might be happening, which, it's...
Looks like it's going to happen.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it's going to happen, which is kind of wild. And I think I even said last year, like, I brushed it off a lot. I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's not going to happen. Come on. That's insane. And, well, now it's actually going to happen.
I actually have not been following this at all. I mean,
so it is
there's
scheduled.
A deadline now.
Yes.
That they have to sell the company.
Right. TikTok has to sell the company to an American owner.
Well, the U.S. version of TikTok.
Right, right. And if they do that, then everything's fine. But they're trying to get basically another extension, which I have a feeling that's what ends up happening because
the extension the extension did not.
It already got denied. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, got denied.
There's just a lot of repercussions, hobby-wise. I mean, specifically TCG, where I think things are really number one in terms of the live e-commerce on there.
And sports cards.
It's true.
There's a lot of sports card companies that make that breakers that are making their living on TikTok.
Yeah.
And solely on TikTok.
Yeah.
Something to keep it on.
This just screams, let's prepare on who we think is going to take over that space. That TikTok that TikTok being gone is going to
I don't think anybody can.
No, but where do those customers go?
Right. They're going to have to go
But they're
somewhere.
not really they're
you
not
would think
really
that
customers
Facebook,
though, I don't
Twitter, X, YouTube, like all these companies, you would think they're like preparing for this.
I mean, there's a few of you guys in the chat. Anybody, when you guys jump into TikTok, are you thinking I'm joining a break? Because I've never joined a break on TikTok. They do come up, but I'm usually on TikTok because I'm bored and I'm trying to scroll through. My reels are usually X or Instagram. I don't go on TikTok as much. That's like my third usually like option to go for entertainment. But TikTok is the most fastest of like going through it compared to like X and Instagram. But does anybody go on TikTok and get into break specifically? Because they don't really come up. They come up in your algorithm if you've joined one, but it's not like a hub to go find them like you would on Fanatics Live or whatnot.
No, but I do think that the folks who are really big on there are like, it is massive for them. And I think, and a lot of them would argue, it is our number one source of selling. So it's a different avenue. It's a different neck of the TikTok woods, if you will, that they live on. But those customers are going to have to go somewhere.
Well,
So I think that's the big
Gary V came out and said, I think about a month ago, and he's like, 2025 will be live commerce. It will be here more so. He's like, I know these guys in the sports card industry think that it's been around forever, but like we're talking about like people like I think China's embraced it, and like somebody goes on there and sells like $1 million in shirts through live commerce.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you're going to start seeing Amazon. You're going to start seeing.
Amazon, dude. They're definitely going to try to get into the game.
Yeah.
So live commerce is going to blow up more so in other avenues. We got 100 of these RoboVacs, 10 minutes only and stuff like that to sell, like modernize the home shopping network with a click of a button.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It's make QVC for Gen Z and all that.
On a side note, Brent in the chat actually has a really good point. We were talking about who's going to be an MLB Bowman draft next year, because we have Elway this year, we've had Brady last year. He says Kyler Murray and Mahomes. Mahomes would be huge.
Makes a lot of sense. Does he have am I wrong? Does he have some sort of ownership stake in the Royals? Am I totally wrong? Off base right there?
Oh, no.
I feel like he is like a very small sliver.
He does.
Yeah. Like, so they could make it like that. They could do something fun with that. But Kyler also makes a lot of sense too.
I don't think Kyler is going to do it.
Mahomes would be a bigger get. Like, that would be a much bigger get. And that would also be another, Mahomes is signing for Tops and Fanatics.
Because you're gonna with Kyler, it's gonna go right back to the whole like, well, did he choose the right path? Would he have been a better baseball player than a football player?
Be cool to get the A's.
It's not too late, Kyler. You can go to the you can go to the A's.
Pull a Michael Jordan.
I see it, but I don't think Kyler Murray moves the needle.
No.
I think Mahomes would, obviously.
Yep. Oh, thank you, Dell. Yeah, Dell, our KC expert. Yeah, so he does have an ownership stake. So yeah, that would be the one that moves the needle the most.
Patty is already signed for Fanatics. He's in Eminent.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Eminate.
Yeah.
Well, but that's a Fanatic, because that's why they get Jaden and Caleb, and they can do that. But if he's signing cards in a Tops product, that's where it'd be like,
Dude,
okay.
But they don't have to worry about the license because it would be a baseball team, right?
I said it last
Right.
week, dude. I think Dion.
I think that'd be a cool one too.
But Mahomes would.
But they've done Dion
Move the
before,
needle.
haven't they?
Not as like a Bowman,
Yeah.
like a first Bowman.
Yeah. Which it technically would, right? Didn't we figure out it would be the first team he was on was what? The Yankees?
I mean, he was he's a rookie on the Yankees.
But
then he went to the Braves.
But I think it should be a Braves card, because that's more one. Elway just had a Yankee card, and I think of Dion as a Brave in baseball terms,
or a Giant,
or Giant. We talked about last, yeah.
or
Giant.
or Reds.
He was on the Reds for a minute.
On the Reds.
He's on the Reds for a minute. Last couple topics, we can get sort of go lightning round with some of these. Grading, we don't have to spend too much time because
PSA is the king.
looking at
Let's move on.
just looking at the quick numbers, PSA number one.
PSA is
SGC has
PSA
firmly gotten
is
that
the
2 spot for sports cards, though.
king in the hobby. I mean, you want to go by numbers and analytics, but like if you want to just go by, my
Slab style?
heart, like slab style, my heart.
Right.
I mean, BGS is always going to be everybody's favorite,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I mean, we were at Fanatics Collect last week, and formerly PWCC. They have CGC on site. So, I mean, I don't know if you're going to get a little bit of a uptick for that.
For sure.
CGC, which is
They're firmly number 2 overall.
they're the comic book company, right?
Yep. They were comics.
CGC.
Now they're sports. Big.
They were
TCG.
on site.
Well, I don't know where they were,
I don't
but
know.
yeah.
I don't think they were. I don't know if they were on site, but I think they were very, very close.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see an office for them, but like I was told that if you send any of your cards to collect or you're there like we were, it could be graded for CGC on site. So.
And I like CGC a lot too. I'm actually a big fan of CGC.
Yeah, I feel like
slabs.
you've been on the CGC.
I just recognize obviously like if I send my cards to CGC, I'm not gonna get anywhere near the value of if I was sending it
right.
to PSA. but-
Yeah.
But also, you've also seen real quick on grading here is a lot of collectors are complaining that the PSA 9 is pretty much become the same price as the Raw now.
Yeah, that
Silly.
shouldn't be how it is.
Silly. to
I
me.
feel like a PSA 9 should be worth more than a Raw.
Yeah.
To the fact that they're the same, it's like it's like 10 or bust, which it sucks. It's like
But that
so
just
what,
shows
so
that
what
just,
should be the same? An 8?
yeah, probably an 8.
An 8?
like a really yeah,
Like a really nice 8?
like a really nice 8.
Well, the problem is
A really nice raw
so,
is an 8. Yeah, saves
there's
an 8.
so much in the pop, right? I mean, I don't know how many Wemby's were. It was insane, right? So they're not handing out as many 10s as they used to, and rightfully so. So you probably have so many 9s now that it's just, yeah, it's probably what's happening is somebody would rather buy a raw and take a chance of getting the 10 as opposed to buying the 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, it hasn't affected vintage too much because it's like, ain't no way you buying a raw Jordan be the same price as a PSA 9.
No.
Right.
No.
Yeah, it's just it's the modern cards that are really affecting it.
Yeah.
And you had a content section.
Yes. Content. We can skip over that. I mean, there was a lot of mergers this year. Sotheby's and all the auction houses, Golden teaming up with eBay, Sotheby's with Fanatics Collect, PWCC. So we'll see. We could expect probably more moving, shaking in that category in 2025. But content, I think the biggest thing I personally notice is just the involvement and at least, or at the very least, curiosity of pro athletes is more than I think I had ever seen in a year, in a single year with the sports card and TCG category. I mean, it was on full display at Fanatics Fest. Obviously, we saw it. You guys saw it firsthand with Grant Williams instantly becoming a huge, a huge
100,000
collector. Right, exactly. So that to me was the most significant change in terms of content. Is now I feel like we've opened it up to now. There's so many more athletes who I think are tuned in to what is happening here.
I got a little. Don't look at my computer here, guys. So there's a website that I stumbled upon today called FeedSpot, and it has the top 100 sports card influencers in 2024.
Oh boy!
See if anybody can name people in the top 10. Don't.
I mean,
Top
Je-
10,
Jeff Wilson's
gotta be
in the
number
top,
one.
top 3.
He
Jeff Wilson.
is not. He is not.
Not in the top 10.
No, he's 13.
Whoa! surprised.
Card curator, I follow him.
Dr. Collectible?
He's on the list.
Pac-Man.
Card Collector 2.
Pac-Man is
he number 1?
8.
Wow,
Okay.
that's pretty high. Good stuff, Pac-Man.
I mean, to be fair, number 1's Michael Rubin.
That's not. That's cheating. That's cheating.
I mean, if I had a couple
Wait
B's,
a minute.
It's probably because of the amount of followers he
I
has.
can impart some influence. I feel like if I had a
That
couple
doesn't
billion.
seem right.
Number 2 is Brandon Zingale, who I know hit us up, tried to do some commissions with us. And you can see his picture right there. He's number 2.
Who?
Yeah. Comedy, Cleveland Biz, sports cards.
He hit us up?
Number 3 is Dustin Bayusi on here. Number 4, Candice Martino, friend of the show. Number 4.
Yeah.
I think these are just based on followers. So who
Okay,
knows?
so this is just going strictly followers.
Number 5.
Oh, how do we not get Ken Golden?
Ken Golden, number 5.
Again, he's not. I don't.
Oh, yeah,
he's
Card
not
Collector
an
2, that makes sense, too.
influencer. He's a entrepreneur.
Card Collector 2, number 6.
Yeah, that one's. Yeah.
Alex Giamo.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you
Which
go.
I'm sure I butchered your name again, Alex. I'm
Shout out,
sorry.
Alex.
Still love you, though. And she's number 7 on this list. So, Pac-Man, Tyson Beck, number 9.
Okay.
And Talon Sports Cards, number 10, Brian Friedman,
Oh wow. All right.
Sick.
according to the list.
Well, okay.
We didn't crack the top 100.
Damn.
guys. So,
Well, goals for next year.
What are we doing here?
Goals for next year.
Chase Portis, number 22 from Lil Pullman. Nikki Rips, 24. Michael Vinicauer, number 26. So it must not be by followers because we'd be on here, or it's because people, right?
I think these are individual.
Mama Breaks, 28.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's a lot of the names we'd expect.
Doc is 31.
And these are what? These are simply taking, because I think if you were to take in totality, their YouTube numbers, all their I think these rankings would look a little different.
Run Good Life?
Run Good Life, 39.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is the thing that because
I mean, it's hard to not get in the top.
Sarah
100.
Rips?
I think we actively tried to. I think we did something.
No,
here,
I
guys.
don't think they're putting companies.
no, they're
So-
not. Yeah, you've said a lot of names. If there were companies there, we would have already heard a few that should be just follower wise.
Jeremy Lease, he took our handle. He's up there.
Yeah.
Took Sports Card Live. Yeah, anyways. But yeah, I mean, I do agree with you that more athletes have gotten involved,
Yep.
and that's a good thing. I think it's become cool to collect cards as an athlete.
That's the biggest thing, and it's something that has been sort of percolating for the last few years is that it's been like, this is now cool and this is
Because what's
fun.
probably happening is that they're talking to their teammates or guys they play against or that they're friends with in the leagues. And they're probably like, hey, did you see my card or did you see your card?
Yeah.
And they're just probably talking about it more.
And I think, frankly, it's what Fanatics' ultimate goal was,
Pushing,
too,
yeah.
is now that these guys are...
Their marketing is working.
Yeah, the marketing's working. These athletes are getting a bigger piece of the pie. And I think that this is all going according to plan from that angle, where these guys are now, doing basically advertising this industry.
Yeah, as somebody who's like, obviously loves the hobby, loves sports cards, it's way more fun when the athletes that you love to watch play or, collect, that they're also into the same thing. It makes it way more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Fish House says Blez. I think he's probably not on there because he's kind of moved into the gambling sports betting.
Blez? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he would
Yeah,
probably
he's
be up
made it-
there for
he's
sure.
got it.
Yeah,
But the
he's
older
pivoted.
brother, the backer, he should be on there. He's always taking his shirt off and stuff.
It's true.
Yeah, I think
And-
he's going for $5 million right now. I don't
And
know if
yeah,
that
he's
tournament's
always
over.
talking about us sports cards on at the tables and stuff. He's actually opening cards on the tables
Again,
and
yeah,
stuff.
I
Poker
think,
table.
I think we need to, there needs to be more that goes into the ranking here. I think these rankings would look a little different, but, congrats to everybody who made the list. Before we go, let's just do prediction time as we've looked back at the year, what the trends, all the trends and everything. Where is there a trend? Is there some bit of news, some prediction? Give us a bold prediction off the top of your head of what's in store for 2025.
Okay.
What's trending up? What's trending down? Are we going to see a big merger? What do you think happens in 2025?
Who wants to start?
Ooh, I gotta think, man. I can't just.
All right, I'm gonna come out with my first one.
Okay.
2025 Fanatics Fest will be the biggest card show of all time.
Wow.
Based on what I seen last year, I'm just super excited for this new one. I'll go with that one
All right.
first.
I think there is going to be a merger with the big card manufacturers. I think they are gonna. I don't think it's going to be Fanatics Panini, but maybe like a Leaf or maybe even Upper Deck.
Yeah. That's what I want to hear.
That's my bold prediction, is that there is a merger in the manufacturer.
Oh,
That's
baby.
one I feel like, too. I think
Fanatics exquisite basketball.
it's been brewing for a while, and I just feel like we're overdue for some moment like that,
I think there's another live commerce app that comes into the fold, like on what we've talked about. Maybe Amazon gets into it because they already have.
Because TikTok, yeah.
Something has to fill the void.
Yeah, somebody has to fill the void.
Amazon already has like a link with Topps on certain Topps products. I mean, they probably have been looking into getting into that space more so. That's been kind of dominated by eBay, and then maybe bringing it into more of a live commerce platform. I mean, it's perfectly in their wheelhouse as far as being able to ship something small. It's right in what they do. Can you imagine one click? Next day you're getting to get your
The
hobby box.
resurgence of Top Shot.
Oh, no.
Oh god.
It's back.
It's back.
I can
better
see.
than
I
ever.
can
I mean,
it
see.
never went away.
I can see
Never went away.
NFTs coming back, but
No.
Top Shot, nah.
The resurgence of Top Shot.
I like that. Yeah, I think the Amazon thing, I didn't even think about that. One, to fill the TikTok void. And two, Amazon is never really made that big. Like, I don't know. I don't think of them at all. Like, when
They're
it comes
such
to
a
cards,
dominate. They're already a dominating
Right.
e-commerce
Right.
site, and where like majority of people shop for everything. It would make sense for them to almost like piggybacking off what Doug is saying.
Yeah.
For them to go like to be like a whatnot,
Yeah, you're right. If there's
Almost.
if there's an Amazon live e-commerce,
where people can just sell like vacuums, all
Right.
like on TikTok. If you go in there, like people are just selling vacuums all day. They're just like, this is how it works, guys. They're just advertising it,
That
and
would
then
be
people are just
huge.
buying it, and buying it, and buying it, and buying it. Like, why can't Amazon do the same exact thing?
that would be huge.
Yeah,
They already
that'd
got the
be-
warehouse
You're
with
right.
all that stuff.
It's easy. It's an easy pivot. Now we also
One
said
touch, yeah.
eBay Live was like, oh, it's all there. The customer base is all there. It was an easy pivot, and it hasn't been. I think the success that we've seen, Whatnot, and even in Fanatics Live and all those.
What if Amazon buys eBay?
Oh boy,
That's a whole different conversation,
that's
right
big boy moves right now in 2025. That's Who
I mean,
knows?
also, I'm not ruling it. I don't know if it's going to happen in 2025, but there's another NFL, NBA, or even MLB licensee for trading cards.
Ooh.
Because if you look at the landscape for the NFL, I mean, you've got
Yeah, that would piss off. That would piss off some people.
you've got Prime, you've got YouTube, you've got Apple TV, you've got it on Nickelodeon, you got it on
Netflix.
CBS.
It's Christmas
got
Day,
it on Netflix.
Yeah.
So why
There's a
an
football game on Netflix?
There's going to be 2 football games on Christmas Day on Netflix, yeah.
I think this weekend there's 2 weeks from now there's gonna start being some Saturday games, right?
Yeah, they're going to do Saturday.
Well, they're doing the 2 Monday games again this week.
Yep.
Which I don't like it.
Trading
right.
cards are the only IP that is exclusive to one company. I mean, Mitchell and Ness has, I mean, they're owned by Fanatics now, but like, there's like Foco that makes stuff. There's like, there's so many other like memorabilia that's made by other people that are licensed by the leagues. Why is trading cards only licensed by one manufacturer? I mean, I know that Fanatics paid a lot of money for it, but maybe if the revenue's not where these leagues want, maybe they go back to a Panini. Maybe they bring somebody else into the fold. So, as I said, I don't know if they're probably going to wait it out.
Wasn't the Fanatics license? Isn't it like 25 years or something?
Something like that.
It's a long
But
time.
there could be words and stuff and legal terms.
Oh, there's
who
probably
knows?
some opt outs and a bunch of other
Oh, yeah.
crazy stuff. But
So
yeah, I think.
we'll reconvene in 25 years to let you know if the license changes hands or not.
And I bet Charizard and Pikachu are still doing their
And they
thing.
will still be going strong.
Yeah.
And I think that
Haven't missed a game.
I think the singles will go up a little bit, especially some of the older stuff. I think that we've seen it kind of decline, not to the point where it's like worthless, but it's declined a significant amount from 2021, and I think people are going to have a little bit more money in their pockets this year in 2025. So I think you'll start to see a little bit of an uptick on some of these, like the Bird Johnson Irving, like is criminally low for what it is.
Such an iconic card.
So having 2 of the top 5 NBA players on a
Yeah.
rookie card, and it going from a lot of money in 2021 to more affordable now. So I
Yeah.
think you'll start seeing some of that.
I agree.
So just
There you go.
bypass eBay. Brent says Amazon buys Fanatics.
Amazon buys Fanatics. Goodness.
They ain't got that bread.
That's a.
I'm just kidding, they
I
do.
mean, no, that's a thing.
They really do.
That's a straight up like those rumors you always hear every few years that Apple's going to buy Disney or something. Like that is that level of like, whoa, it is.
I
that is
mean,
massive.
Yeah, you're talking about like 15, 20 Bs.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of billions in that one if that were to happen. But
You could
again,
buy like 5 NBA teams.
like
again,
for example, like
By the whole league.
I want a Macklin Celebrini jersey because my daughter's party's at the Sharks on Ice on Saturday, and I was like, it'd be kind of cool to have a Sharks jersey on for her birthday party. But it's gonna take too long now for me to get it. So it's like if it was Amazon distributed, I could have it tomorrow.
that's
Yeah.
oh boy.
Well,
They
okay,
can't even
okay,
go to the
time out.
go to
Now,
the shark
yeah,
shop and
though.
just buy one.
Yeah, can't you just go?
I couldn't find the hours. I went online.
Can you just go face to face commerce like we
Where?
used to do back in the day? Get
Where?
the Sharks? The Sharks.
Find,
Arena.
find me the hours. I
Here,
clicked on it
let's see.
today and
Yeah.
it did not have hours.
Just-
on the
Really?
shop. Yeah.
Oh,
Just show up.
I'm looking it up right now. New free
I bet
advertisement for
Emily
the
would
Sharks
know.
team store. Yeah, you know what? Actually,
I would say they're open Monday through Saturday.
11 a.m. to
11
6 p.m.
Yeah, like regular time.
And then, of course,
Google does
game
not have
day is
their
different.
hours.
Game day
Google-
is different. So, anyway.
Anyways, all right. Well, guys, hopefully you guys had fun listening to the episode. Make sure you guys check out Mojobreak.com for all your upcoming breaks. New Black Football, which we didn't really even talk about, is out today. We've been ripping that. We got some beautiful midnight signatures, along with those nice patch shield chance autos with those shadow box signatures. So get it on that. We also have Eminent up for pre-sale for you football fans as well, which has all the players in it. So get in on those breaks at Mojobreak.com, and we'll see you guys next week on The Hype. Peace.